Good morning. My name is Swati. I am from Numerical Analytics Instruments Private Limited. It is the sole distributors of Texas Instruments calculators. So TI has been an active member of Classroom across the world, empowering teachers and inspiring students to succeed in mathematics and science. So today's webinar will focus on 3D geometry and statistics portion. So in this webinar, we are going to see plotting and visualizing of 3D solids, solids of revolution with some sample examples, some statistical calculations like regression, finding the mean, standard deviation, etc., probability distribution, and an example on Voronoi diagrams. So let's get started with 3D first. 3D solids have dimensions in 3 directions: length, width, and depth. The 3D model that we create will be dynamic, which means we will be able to rotate it in any direction. The 3D graph view. So first of all, if you are not aware of how do we get our calculator into the graphing mode, let me show you. Let me create a page by Control and Dock. Let me add a graph page and let me go to menu option, view, number 2, and number 3 is 3D graphing. So when we add a page, is there any difference whether we add a geometry page or a graph page? So now I've added a graph page. Let me add a geometry page as well. So I'll do the same thing. Go to menu, number 2 view, and number 3 3D graphing. So in both my pages, this is the graph page 1.3 and 1.4 is the geometry page. In both the pages, I see that I have an entry line, the Cartesian entry line. And both the pages menu options are same. So which means the 3D part can be done on the graph page or on the geometry page. It's one and the same. So this Cartesian plane, what you're seeing, it is nothing but you are defining Z in terms of X and Y. Let me just take an example, X plus Y, enter. So I see when I define Z in terms of X plus Y, I see a hexagon over here. The same, let me do it on my graph page, X plus Y plus 5. I see a equilateral triangle. So this was about the Cartesian plane. Now before moving forward, let's learn how to drive it around a bit. So these are the navigation keys. The letter R will rotate the box. A is for the automatic rotation. O will again take you to the original view. And X, Y, Z will give you a view looking down each of these positive X, Y, and Z axis. And you can zoom in or zoom out by pressing multiply sign or the division sign. Now let us just explore this on the page. This is the graph page. So if I want to rotate it, I just click in the space, anywhere on the space, and I see this 4-sided arrow. I just move it as I want to. So I can move it whatever direction I want to. So for original view, if I just click O on my keypad, I will get the original view. And A helps you for automatic rotation. If I click A, it will automatically rotate. And to stop this, I can hit escape. It will stop. If I press escape, X key on the keypad to have a look at things from the X-axis point of view. Similarly goes with Y-axis point of view and Z. As I said before, we can also zoom in or zoom out by multiplication and division symbol. So this was about the parametric Cartesian, this was about the Cartesian based, which we define Z in terms of X and Y. Now moving forward, we also have the parametric input. So in this, to get the parametric input, we need to go to menu section Number 3, 3D graph entry. And when I click on number 3, 3D graph entry, we get two options, function and the parametric. So the function was the bit that you have already seen, whether it is defined in terms of x and y. This parametric is used when we define x, y, z in terms of angular variables. Let me just show you here. So I go to menu, number 3 graph entry, and here I see two options, function and parametric. So when I click on parametric, I see x, y, z parameters in terms of t and u. So for parametric input, we have the variables t and u. We'll explore about it now. But the next one is the solids of revolution. We are going to achieve this by constructing a solids of revolution by using parametric equation that we just saw. We are going to look at the rotation around x-axis, y-axis and z-axis. And finally, a little bit creativity with sliders maybe that will help us to make the students understand in a better way that what exactly is going on under the process. We will now proceed with the solids of revolution. We will try to build a solid what we are familiar with and then take it to the 3 dimension. So we are going to follow the procedure that I have outlined here, how to create the solid. We are going to define the function in 2D window and then going to transfer the function in a 3D grid. Once we are done with this, we will then define XYZ components in 3D window and use the parameters T and U. So T and U can be defined and interpreted however you like to. It is nothing fixed. Now let me just show you this. Let me create a page. When I control dock and add a graph page. So here, let me just use my 2D graphing. As we have seen, first we will define a function in 2D window. So let me define a function minus x into x minus 4. Let me take a basic function. So I have this graph over here. Now, having defined our function, now we will move to the 3D window. Let me create a page again, control, dock, and add graphs. So, how do we move to 3D window is click menu, view, and 3D graphing. So, by default, you will have the Cartesian plane setting. So, in order to change it to the parametric, you have two options. Either you can go to menu, 3D entry. From here, you can change it to parametric form, or you can just right click over here and graph entry and choose parametric. Now, and then once we choose the parametric, now we will replicate the same function in 3D. So instead of x, our x coordinate will simply be t. And y coordinate, since we have taken function in y, we are going to define this as f1. Since we have defined the function in our previous page, we can see it in bold. So instead of f1 of x, here we are going to take f1 of t. So it will now be in terms of t. As we are sticking to 2D to start with, so our z coordinate, let us take it as 0. Hit enter. Now here you see, you have this graph. The same as this one. The 2D is just replicated on the 3D window. Now, one thing we haven't noticed is when I enter the parameters over here, I have edit parameters. So when I click on this edit parameters, by default, the values of t will be from 0 to 2 pi and the values of u will be from 0 to pi. But I want to change my values of t. Why? Because let me just change my values of t from 0 to, let's say, 4. Why? Because I want to see my graph exactly above the x-axis. Before this, we were seeing that the graph was even lying below the x-axis. But since I changed the setting of t from 0 to 4, here we have changed the setting of t from 0 to 4. That is why I see that my graph is exactly lying above the x-axis. Now the x coordinate, now we have done our first step. What was the first step? You need to just transfer to the 3D grid. So we have just transferred the same function, 2D function, to 3D function. Now the next step what we have is define XYZ components in 3D window. So the X, now our question is, we are going to rotate this 3D model around X axis. So when I say that I want to rotate it around X axis, my X coordinate will be constant. Constant as in whatever I've taken it in my previous entry, that is T. The same will be in my next entry. Let me just take it as T, because I want to rotate my 3D model around x-axis. If I want to rotate my 3D model around y-axis, I'll keep y as constant, and the same with z-axis also. Okay. Now, so in our previous entry it was t, so I've taken x coordinate to be t. Now we are going to use the components and use sine and cosine functions to define the components. So let me first write my components over here, and then I'll explain you why I have taken this. Trigonometry cos u. Similarly, I define z as f1 of t into multiplication sine u. So why do we take like this? So let's look at the original function. What was the original thing that we have taken? T, f of t and 0. So similarly, I take x-axis, x coordinate as t, and I am taking my y thing as f1 of t into cos u, because when I consider my parameter u as 0, so cos u is nothing but cos 0, which is 1. So f1 of t into 1 is again f1 of t. So it is the same like the previous function. Similarly, I've taken this as f1 of t into, into sine u. Now here why I have taken sine u is, since our parameter u is 0, sine 0 is equal to 0. So f1 of t into 0 gives you 0 again. So z coordinate we have taken as 0, because our previous function is same. So it will map back to what we had in the first function of the graph. So when I click enter, I see this kind of 3D model. So this is rotated around the x-axis. Now let me show you. We can, when I go and click on this, you can see all the functions what I've defined here: x parameter, y parameter, and z parameter. I can also change the color of this. Right click on this, number 8 color, number 4 custom plot color. So vary color by height. Let's say I chose this. Okay. So the color is changing with the height. So this is the function. So you can rotate however you want to. So this I have done revolving the solid around x-axis by keeping x as constant. Now by doing it this way, what we have got is, we have actually generalized the procedure, because when I go back to my 2D graph, the 2D function over this function. Let me just change this function. Let's say I take 9. My graph will automatically change, and our solid of revolution will automatically change. Now here you can see our solid of revolution has automatically changed. Initially the model was different, but since I have changed my function in my 2D window, it will automatically change in the 3D window also. So if I click on X, it will show my X-axis, rotation around just X-axis. And when I click on Y, the Y portion is seen. Similarly with Z. Now this was about how do we build a solid. Now we can also create sliders so that we can control our rotation. Like if we want to rotate around half, we can do that. So when we create a slider, it helps us to control the rotating part. It will also help students to better understand what exactly is going on. So let me just show you how do we create a slider on the window. Go to menu, number 1 actions, and here number 7 we have insert slider. Let me click on this. The variable, the slider name I would like to give as turn, and the slider varies from, let's say, 0 to 2. And step size, we can let it be automatic or we can change it according to our wish. I want that after every small intervals I need to see the rotation. So I've taken a very small value. I can change the slide of the style of the slider. Let me choose it vertical. Let me minimize so that it doesn't occupy much space on my window. So this is what I created a slider. Okay. So we have given the variable as t, turn. So we are seeing the slider name as turn. Now how do I relate my, because when I'm using the slider, you see that there's nothing happening in the window, in the model. So how do I connect my slider with my 3D window is, let me go back to my parametric equation by clicking on tab. You can see X parameter 3 because we have defined 2 parameters already. Up arrow here. Now, instead of just defining cos u, I can define cos u multiplied by the slider term. You can see it in bold. It is just that I am connecting my slider to the model. Similarly, it goes here. So sin u into the slider name which we have given as turn. So yes. So whenever I am using my slider, the model automatically changes. So when my slider is at the 0, the curve is lying exactly on my XY plane, which is the horizontal plane. And you can also look it from other direction. You can rotate and see whatever direction you want to.
Swati, I would interrupt. Please explain the slider part once again.
Yes. Okay, let me just remove the slider. Delete. Okay, I go to menu, number 1 actions, and number 7 insert slider. So when I insert my slider, I need to set my slider with the settings. So let me take the slider name as turn. I can take anything. I can just take a single letter also. And let me choose my slider to be the maximum value 0 and go up to 2. And let me take the step size as the minimum step size so that after each intervals, when I move, I can see what exactly is happening in the 3D model. Let the style be horizontal or vertical, it's up to you. And let me just minimize so that it will occupy lesser space on my window. So this is what I created the slider. I can see. So whenever I am moving the slider, it automatically moves. Now, how did I connect my slider to the model is, I will again go back to my parametric equation, and instead of just defining cos u, I define as cos u into turn. That means those many rotations it will take. Similarly, sin u into turn, the slider name. If I don't mention turn over here, or if I don't define my slider with the equation, even if you use the slider, let me just show you. If I just remove the slider thing from my equation and just press enter. So even if I'm moving the slider, okay, it is automatically defined earlier. So if you define it in the equation, only then the slider gets activated, else it doesn't get activated. So when I am rotating up to 2, it completes the whole rotation. Now I can see from x-axis point of view, x-axis point of view, from y-axis point of view, and I can rotate it, and from z-axis point of view. And you can rotate anyhow. So this is the usage of slider. That means you can control your rotation. You can keep it at half rotation or whatever you want. So this was about how to create a solid from a 2D window and then converting into the 3D grid. Now, so this was about rotating around the x-axis. Similarly, you can do it for y-axis and z-axis. Now let's see an example on 3D volume of solids by rotating around the x-axis.
So I will be carrying this part ahead. So you have seen the solid of revolution. So let's have an example. I'm having this function as a f of x is equal to 3x squared minus 3x plus 3. So what we need to do is we need to find the volume of the solid, and so that it is rotated around the x-axis and in the given domain 2 to 6. So for that, we will first get the graph of this function. Let's open a graph page, control doc, then I will add a graph page, and let's write the same function over here. So the function was x square minus 3x plus 3 and enter. As you know all the steps, so after 2D graphing, we move to the 3D one. So to get that, we press menu, view, and then 3D graphing. Now, since we are looking for the revolution of the solids, so we'll right click over here and change its format to the parametric one. So as explained by Swati earlier, we will type the parameters over here and will change in the form of t and u. So I will write in t, and then as defined my function as f1 of t, and that is being multiplied by cos of u. Coming to the next line, I will write the same function f1 of t, and that is being multiplied by sine of u. So once it's done, just press enter, and here you can see actually what is happening. So you can basically visualize how this graph is being rotated around the x-axis. Coming to our question again, actually we need to find the volume of the solid. So for the volume of the solid, we have a formula. We have the formula for that. That is the integration from a to b pi multiplied by the function, given function, whole square of that, and multiplied by d by dx. So to get the volume, once you have the formula, we'll use the calculator page. Let's calculate it quickly. Let's move to the calculator page. And here I can have that integration from this math template. Just click on this. Since we are having the domain from 2 to 6, so I will write 2 over here, then 6, and as the formula says, pi is being multiplied by. So rather than writing the whole function, we are just writing the name of that function, f1 of x, and whole square of this dx. press enter, you will get the volume. So the volume of my given function is 1309.4 cubic units. So in this way, you can find the volume of the given functions. Moving ahead, we have the Voronoi diagrams. So what the Voronoi diagrams are, basically they gives the idea that you stood somewhere at a certain point, and which of these black dot is as closest to. Suppose you are standing somewhere in this pink line, then this black dot is closest to you, nearest to you. And basically it is a way of representing the data and show you the closest thing. So I will explain you this with the help of an example. Let's take a question. I have written a question over here. Yes. So we have the area which is enclosed by this region 00, 80 and 88. And inside this region, we have 3 hospitals. Let's say A, B, and 3. 3 hospitals are there. And we are given with the coordinates of these 3 hospitals. Coordinates of A is 1,8. For B, hospital is 8,8. And for C is 3,8. Okay. So now we need to show where is the nearest hospital we can take ambulance. So the way we do this is nothing but drawing the perpendicular bisectors. So let's have a look. For that, will you draw this Voronoi diagrams on the graph page. So I have put this points earlier only. So how to put that points is basically when you are on the graph page, just press the this key P. Since you have the points, you can select the point by coordinate, and whatever the coordinates are given to you in the question, you can write over here, and you can that point will move to the defined location. So in the same way, A, B, and C are given in this question. So I have plotted that and labeled that. So this is my hospital A, this is my hospital B, and this is my hospital C. So now what we need to do is we need the perpendicular bisectors between these points, between A and B, between B and C, between A and C. So for that, we'll directly move to the menu. Then we have the option geometry, and in geometry we'll go to the construction, and in construction we have 2 options, either for the perpendicular or the perpendicular bisector. We will be selecting the perpendicular bisector. So what does this perpendicular bisector says it? You just click the segment, it will draw you the perpendicular bisector. Let us suppose I need between point A and B. Just select A and then select B. It will give you the perpendicular bisector of this. Fine. In the same way, what we'll doing is we'll getting the perpendicular bisectors of all the point. I'm repeating this: menu, geometry, then construction, and perpendicular bisector. Now we draw between B and C. So this is the line between B and C. The same way we'll get the another one: menu, geometry, construction, and the perpendicular bisector, and this would be between A and C. So yes. So also you can extend your lines if you want to. You can extend your lines after it's drawn. Okay, so what we have got is we have got the 3 perpendicular bisectors of all the points. Now if we are standing in any region, suppose I'm standing somewhere over here, so the nearest hospital to my point is C, to my area is C. If suppose I'm standing somewhere over this area, then the nearest hospital to near me is B. So if you are standing in any region, we can find which is the closest to it. So from this you might have got the general idea. Also I can connect these lines. I will connect these 3 points A, B, and C. Geometry, points and lines, and then line. I need to connect this A, B. It will give you a better visualization. And I'm connecting then B and C, and then connect C and A. Once it's done, if they are extending, you can do this way. So now it will give you a better visualization of the three hospitals, hospital A, B, and C. What we have done is we have got the perpendicular bisectors of all these lines. So once it's done, you can also see all these perpendicular bisectors do meet at a point. So if we look at the question, we have one more part, that where should a new hospital be built? So we wanted to build a new hospital, which is to be as far as possible from all the other hospitals. So what we need to find is, we will find the point where all the bisectors are meeting. So this is the point actually. So to get this, I will again click P, and then now we are not having the coordinates of that particular point. So we'll just select point and drag it to that point. It will show you intersection. Once it show you intersection, it means you are at the correct point. Just select it, and here you are. So this is the point. You can also name it. I will label it as a D. I say D is the point where you can build a new hospital. Moreover, if you want to get the coordinates of this point, you can just right click. You can just select the 7 option coordinate and equation, and here you are. So 4.5 and 5.83 are the coordinates, and D is the point where you can build a new hospital at this point. So this is the question which is based on the Voronoi diagram. So using it, you can do questions to find the shortest path between the given points and given coordinates. Moving ahead, we have some questions on the statistics as well. So let's do one variable. Let's do one variable statistics. And for that, I have a question. Actually, the one variable statistics allow us to find minima, maxima, median, standard deviations, Q1, and all those values which we need in the univariate quantitative data. So this is what the question is. The question is about the marks of the 8 students. So we have got all the marks over here, and we need to find its mean and the standard deviation. Okay, in the next part, we have that the marks are increased by 2. And for the new list, we need to find the mean and standard deviation for that. How to do that? So for this, first of all, for the statistics, generally the 2 pages used are list and spreadsheet and the data and statistics page. So to input the data sets, we'll use the list and spreadsheet. Just press Control, Doc. I will go into the list and spreadsheet page. So in the first column, just label what you are inputting. Just suppose I'm inputting the marks. I will write marks into it and press enter. Leave this box empty. Come to the next one part, and now we'll put all the marks over here. Marks are 8, 4. Let's say 8, 4, 7, 6, 10, 9, 7, 3. So what I have done is I have inputted all the given marks into it. One method is you can, once you input this, you can find the mean and deviation of this one, and then you can prepare a new column and then find the standard deviation and mean, whatever the given in the question in that, for that new column. Before that, I will be inputting the new marks here before only. So what we are going to do is, now we have 1 marks, but we need to prepare a new column in which the marks are increased by 2. So what one you can do is, you can just add 10, you can write it 6, you can write it 9 over here. But one more method is, we can actually automatically automate the process. So how to automate the process is, once the name is there, come to this next box. This is the formula box. For example, I write the formula over here. It work as an Excel sheet in our computers. Just press equal to. Once equal to is there, we need to add a column with 2, right? So I will type A and then square bracket. Square bracket. I will leave that square bracket empty only because I need to add 2 to full list, to the whole list. Plus 2, once you have defined the formula, press enter. It will automatically update your list to all the data sets. So you can check all my numbers have been added. So now we have prepared with the two list, marks and the new marks. Now we'll go for the statistical calculation. So just press menu, statistics, then stat calculation, and one variable statistics. So after that, it will ask you one variable or the two variable. So we are having two lists, one variable, we are having it will ask you, sorry, number of lists. So we are having two lists, marks and the new marks. I will select 2, then OK. This is important. So what you want to have in your X1 list, just use this arrow. I have defined marks. I need it in X1 list. In X2, I am saying new marks. Just press tab and come to and your result will be displayed in your column D. Once you are into OK, press OK. You can see both the answers are displayed. So you can see X1 list. This is the one variable statistics for marks. This is the one variable statistics for new marks. And when you scroll down, you have the value of mean value is changed. And more when you scroll down, you will get the value of standard deviation as well. So you have many values, whatever values you want for your single variable statistics. This is for this question. Moving ahead, I have the question for the important part of the statistics, that is the scatter plot and the regression lines. So I'm having this question. The experiment is being carried on how stress on a brass material varies and observation at successive times. So I have given the question is given with the table of time and the stress. What all we need to do is we need to find the scatter diagram, we need to find the product moment correlation, then estimated time is given, and the regression line. Okay, so before moving ahead, I will just input my data. Again, I will open my lesson spreadsheet page. So once you are into it, my first was time. Enter. Come to the column B, just type stress and enter. Now we'll fill the data. It's given as 4, 6.3, 10.3, 4, 6.3, 10.3, 15, 13.6, 15, 13.6, then 13.6, 18, 28. You have 18, 28, 38, 28, 33.5, 28, 33.5, 42 and 44, 42 and 44. So we have inputted all the data sets of the time. Now we'll input the data sets of stress. It's given 70, 55, 70, 55, then 48, 42.5, sorry, 48, 42.5, 40.5, 38, 40.5, then 38, then what next is 30.5, 28, 30.5, 28. Did I missed something? I think yes. 70, 55, 70, 55, 48, 42.5, 40.5, then 38, 30.5, then 28, 25 and 22.5, 25 and 22.5. Yes. So what we have done, we have inputted all the data sets of time and stress into it. Now we'll move ahead. We will first find the scatter plot. To get the scatter plot, we always use the data and statistics page. So I will leave this page and I will move to data and statistics. You can see your data are scattered over here. So for that, I need to add the variables into my this screen. Just click on this area. It will ask you, do you need stress or time? I say on x-axis, I'm having time. It will reassemble, and on the y-axis, I will say stress, and you got the you got the scatter plot. Okay. Now we'll have the regression line on the same only. So to get the regression line, just press menu, analyze, and the regression. So since it's the linear regression, so two types of linear regressions you can have, mx plus b or a plus bx. I'm using mx plus b. Just select it. Here is the equation of your scatter plot. Sorry, the regression line. So it's there in the form mx plus b. Also in the question you have seen, you need to find the product moment correlation. Okay, so for that we again move to the list and spreadsheet page. So we have done with the scatter plot, we have got the regression line. Now we need to find the product moment correlation. For that we again came to the list and spreadsheet page. Just press the menu, statistics, start calculation, and the regression line. So it will again calculate, once again it will give the values of your regression lines. Yes, and in this option, just select what's there in the X list, it's time. In the Y list, I have selected stress. One more important thing I wanted to show you is it will save your regression equation into the function F1. And how it can be used, I will show you later. So pressing tab, no need to change others, and press OK. So here we are. So the same values, the value of M is minus 0.931. Value of B is 60, and the R, which is asked in the question, value of that is minus 0.91. So you can have your values over from here. So moving ahead, I said you that function is defined, that equation is defined in that function. Before that, you can just look at the question, what it's asking. It's asking that it is required to estimate the stress when the time taken to rupture is 25 seconds. It means the time is given to you 25 seconds, and now you need to find the value of the stress. Okay, you need to find the value of the stress. So for that, what I will do is, we are on this page, I will just add the graph page to get the exact values. Now you'll see it falls you on the F2 of X. Why? Because my F1 of X is already saved. So in this F1 of X, you will have your regression equation, line of regression line equation. Just press enter to it. Just a second. Enter, it's not visible. Windows, zoom fit. Yes, it's the same regression line as shown in your data and statistics page. Okay. Now what we need to do is, we have the value of time, that is 25. It means we have the value of X, and we need to calculate the value of Y. So directly you can do is, you can just have a point P, and you can just select a point P and drag it on anywhere onto the line. Suppose I keep it over here, enter. So when it's done, you know that your value of X can be changed. I can change from value 25. It's given. So it will automatically give me the value of Y, and press enter. So it's not showing in my, sorry. I will change it to 30 something. Just a second. It moved out of this, yeah. So you got the value of Y, 36.7. So for this question, for the stress for the 25 second is given as 36.7. Yes, over to you, Swati.
So next, we have a question on probability distribution. Let's explore this. So Timmy's daily shop income is modeled by normal distribution. So this question is on normal distribution, which has mean 820 and standard deviation is given. So Timmy wants to make the profit if the daily income is greater than 1000. Greater than 1000 means the minimum value is 1000. It can go beyond that. So we need to calculate the probability that on a random selected date, Timmy makes a profit. Since we know it is a normal distribution question, let me just create a page, control doc, and add a calculator page. So for normal distribution, let's go to menu. Number 5, probability, and it's a distribution. So number 5 again, distribution, and normal CDF. So the lower bound, the minimum value should be 1000, and the upper bound can go beyond. So 9 exponential 999, let's say, and the mean is given as 820 and standard deviation is 230. Press OK. So you get the answer. So this is the profit Timmy makes, 0.216928. So now moving to the next part of the question. If the shop opens for 24 days a month. So from this we can understand that it is a binomial question. You need to calculate the probability that in a random selected month, Timmy makes a profit between 5 and 10 inclusive of both the days. So since the shop is open for 24 days a month, it's a binomial distribution. Let me go back to my calculator page. Press menu. Number 5, probability, again distribution, and here at the end you see number option B is binomial CDF. Let me choose this. So number of trials, it is 24 days a month, so n is 24, and probability of success. Probability of success is the normal distribution we have got is 0.216928. Lower bound between 5 and 10 days inclusive. So lower bound is 5 and upper bound is 10. Okay. Just a minute. Menu, number 5, probability, distribution, and binomial CDF. Number of trials 24, 0.216928, 5 and 10. Enter. So you got the answer for the second part. But to get the more accuracy in our answer, see if I scroll back using the navigation pad, and when I click enter, the answer which we got in the first is a huge answer, is a quite big answer. But we have just inputted 0.216928. So it is not the accurate answer. So to get accurate answer, I can show you there are 2 ways to get. Let me just copy this particular binomial CDF. Let me highlight and then press enter. It copies. So instead of manually writing the success thing, I can copy and paste. I will delete it from here and I will copy my answer by pressing Ctrl C, and I will paste it wherever I want to. Here, Ctrl V. So it will show me the whole answer, the big value, not just up to 6 digits. So press enter. So here in these 2 answers, you can see the last digit is varying. So this is the accurate answer. There is one more method of doing this. Rather than copying this particular answer over here, you can again copy this particular binomial CDF and remove this part, the success part, which is not accurate. Now, in the previous thing, we have copied the answer part and pasted in our thing. But rather than copying the answer part, we can also copy the question part by highlighting and then press Ctrl C and paste it after 24, the success part, Ctrl V. So here the whole question is there. So whatever answer you have for this, it will automatically take. So it is the same answer that we got. So you can get the accurate answer by this method or by this method. So distribution under another distribution is also possible. So here in this question we have used 2 distributions, binomial and normal together. So this was about the probability distributions. So yeah, that's it for the today's webinar.